Further discussion on the resolution. I recognize myself, and I do strongly support this Congressional Review Act resolution offered by Chairman of the Water, Wildlife, and Fisheries Subcommittee, Mr. Bentz. And the discussion, I think, has been beneficial. It's been enlightening, but I think what it needs to really be is about, what's the real facts and what are not facts. And I think Mr. Bentz did a great job of coming back and actually getting to the facts of what this resolution does and what the current law would do. Under the Trump definition of habitat, again, I want to repeat this, it defined habitat as a setting that currently or periodically contains the resources and conditions necessary to support one or more life processes of species. That is actually quite a broad definition, that it either currently or even periodically contains the conditions necessary to support a species. So how does that work out on the ground? Maybe you've got a forest that's been mismanaged that currently cannot support a species. That is not habitat if it can't support the species. But if you go in and manage that forest, maybe you restore it and it becomes habitat that can support a species. This is simple, it's concise, it gives not only agencies a solid platform to work from, it also gives people who are working in and around endangered species some certainty on what the rules are. And I think it does a very good job of providing broad habitat protection and support for endangered species. Now, if we go to the current Biden administration rule, they will decide habitat on a case-by-case basis, and that gives zero certainty to stakeholders. It would allow Fish and Wildlife Service and the National Marine Fisheries Service once again to just have blanket authority to declare critical habitat in areas that currently are not suitable for a particular species and may never be suitable. The Trump rule was a necessary response to the Supreme Court Weyerhaeuser opinion, which stated that for an area to be considered critical habitat, it must first actually be habitat. Mr. Norm Semenko, the chief counsel for the Family Farm Alliance, testified that in his opinion, the Biden administration is out of compliance with the Weyerhaeuser decision. Designating critical habitat is an extremely powerful tool. When designated improperly, it can also be economically devastating. Under the Biden rule, all industries will find themselves in the regulatory crosshairs of the service or NMFS. Currently, over 900 listed species have designated critical habitat. That current critical habitat equals 107 million acres. That's actually larger than the state of California. Critical habitat designations affect federal actions, funding, and permitted activities. When an activity like a forest management project or any critical infrastructure project might impact critical habitat for a listed species, a consultation process is required with the service and NMFS under Section 7 of the ESA. By rescinding the Trump rule, the Biden administration is further exacerbating this slow and arbitrary consultation process, which often takes years to complete and again leaves projects in limbo. Designating critical habitat because a species could be there decades or centuries from now is a hypothetical. It's not a scientific management decision. By not providing a specific and easy to understand definition of habitat, the Biden administration is empowering environmental litigants to sue each time an area is excluded from being considered critical habitat. The consequences of an improper critical habitat designation are too dire for decisions to be made based on the whims of career bureaucrats or radical environmental litigants. I urge my colleagues to support this legislation, and I yield back my time.